This is an episode of Balance of Power, and we're going to get into combat. We're going to be talking about all sorts of upcoming combat changes that we have that are going to be coming up
combat changes.
May update. But before we get into the details,
what in the fuck is this thing? This is a gun hatchet? What the fuck? They have a gun hatchet here? Is that gonna be a new weapon? What the fuck? Holy shit, look at this. That is dope. A weapon that is both range and melee, that shit will be super fucking badass, bro. That shit, dual wield, oh, imagine dual wielding hatches, and you could go like, ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Bro, that shit will be so fucking cool.
I wanted to start things off by just recognizing the community feedback we got on our last episode. We didn't have a lot to share that was new at the time. And going forward, we're going to actually only do this show when we do have new things to talk about, things that we really...
Thank fucking God, chat. Thanks fucking God. This is something that we said on stream so much. Bro, if you guys don't have anything to talk about, just don't talk about anything. Because just sitting there and talking nonsense that doesn't correlate, it doesn't apply to the player base, is just a waste of time. So I'm glad, yes, this is big W from the get-go. Thank you guys.
Really wanted to share with the community.
Hell yeah.
And with that in mind, we have a full show ahead of us. We have lots of things to talk about.
Hell yeah, dude.
I just wanted to start out though by talking about the season 5 launch. I know we talked last time about our changes to the scripting system, and there were a lot of issues to come out of that, like as expected. We are definitely looking at all these reports. It's our number one priority is to fix things, to get things feeling like they did before season 5. And we'll be pushing out fixes over the next coming updates. To jump into details on what's coming up in May, could you talk a little bit about some of the like what's like some of the highlights of the upcoming changes?
There's a pretty good amount, but one of the first ones we're going to just jump right into is siege weaponry. We've been aware it's
garbage.
Been pretty lackluster.
Yeah, pretty trash.
Since shortly after launch, players have outleveled the damage that most of the siege weapons can do, so we're doing a pretty good bump to it, increasing the power by around 50%, give or take.
Oh, that's big, yeah.
Powerful. And we may end up doing some more buffs down the road, but just doing this little...
You want me to be honest with you? I think that the burning oil should be increased by like 200%. I still don't agree. Or if you're not going to increase the burning oil damage by that incredible amount, how about you make that any person that is on the burning oil has 0 healing? Like the burning oil applies a debuff on the enemy that doesn't allow them to heal. That way they can just not stand on top of a sacred ground and left click away. You know what I mean? Either increase the damage, but if you increase the damage dramatically, then it might kill people super fast. Just make it that whenever you dump that oil on them, there's like a stack of burning that stacks fast and it doesn't allow them to heal. That way they actually need to get out of that if they want to get healed, because the no heal thingy plus the players doing damage to them, if they do that, they should remove door repair completely. Well, no, because you still have range player, right? Not everybody's melee. The range will still be able to do damage. Yeah, and they cannot be healed for like 3 seconds. No, because then that will be too much, right? If they cannot get healed for 3 seconds, let's just make it that whenever they're in that flame of portal, they cannot be healed, which it will directly counter a sacred ground that is on their feet, right? If they want to get healed, then they need to get out of that oil. If they don't, then fuck. Because if the oil is doing a substantial amount of damage, they cannot get healed. Plus the damage of the players from the ramparts, it should be more than enough to make them just not stand on the oil.
We'll test first to see how it plays out and then where we go from here. But yeah, buffing pretty much every siege weapon and war, invasion, and outpost rush. And just, increasing their damage. The AoEs that are persistent on the ground that do dots are going to last for an extra second. Just get that extra tick in along with the extra damage. And hopefully that'll kind of branch out what's used on the war and invasion forts to just not be a bunch of war horns. And so, yeah, trying to mix it up. We're also decreasing the cost of the ammo resupplies so you can refill them a little bit cheaper. It's hoping that kind of mixes up the combat a little bit, makes it feel a little bit more interesting, gives a little bit more diversity to it than just what's currently being used.
Yeah, I know one of the.
Yeah, I've been talking about the siege, man. The siege has been complete garbage always. They could have also done like a siege gear, right? Or because you used to have like the siege like damage to siege, right? Which it was Runius. Runius did more damage to the siege weaponry and stuff like that. There should have been a counter to that, or not a counter to that. There should have been a perk on the gear, the same way that you have like harnessing, like fire harnessing, ice harnessing, or whatever. It would have been like siege harnessing, and every piece that you have increases the damage of the siege by like 5%, 10%. So if you have a full set of siege, you actually are the siege person. You're the one that is dumping the oil. You're the one that is on the cannons. You're the ones that are in the repeaters. You're in the ones that are doing this kind of thing. It gives players, especially Musketeer, a completely different playstyle to not just, you know, just do the bare minimum sitting there and just looking pretty. Cannon used to be so fucking good in wars, but now every defense is just Warhorns. Yeah, because Warhorns ended up being better because the game, you know, just being that clump fight and the protection and you know, all of the good things that the Horn give.
The reasons
Cannons used to just be doing so much damage, but then the players all got 625 gear score, 700 gear scored, and the cannon damage was never increased at all.
I often like
anyone will use that as a gear set. Oh yeah, I'm sure people will. The people that are, especially the Musketeers or bow players that are in the ramparts, now they have a purpose, you know. They can actually put that on and be very, very good. Like a person on a siege that you do a cannon shot, and that cannon shot, it's doing like 5,000 plus damage a shot. That will be incredibly powerful, because if you have 2 or 3 cannons shooting at a clump at the same time, like ready, aim, fire, and you have 3, 4 cannons shooting at the same time, and the clump goes like bam, 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 and gets fucking deleted, right? Like that has a fucking purpose. That will be a cool concept. And it will be much more meaningful than just sitting in the ramparts with a musket shooting in shooter stands, or just a bow shooting AoE, or you could do both, you know?
Try out a siege weapon and then hop out again is because I'll just get like focused, and you go down so fast because you're kind of like a sitting duck.
Right, but you guys also increase the defenses that you, whenever you're on top of a siege weapon, right?
Like, are we thinking about any changes around that?
Not going to be in the same update with all the other stuff, but that's something we're looking into, of trying to see if we can give some sort of like resilience or fortify or something.
Yeah, whenever you're on top of those
potentially long term, we might add some sort of like shields type thing just to make it a little less risky to just put your head out and be headshotable once you're on those weapons.
Cool. So something else that I think happened in around the season 3 time frame was we increased damage a lot. And that has resulted in taunts not being as effective at drawing aggro. Can you talk about like some changes around that?
Oh, yeah. In pretty much most kind of higher level PvE modes, player level just DPS has just gone up a lot, and the taunts and threat system didn't really follow. So we're basically just increasing the amount of threat generation that you get from anything that would generate it. So,
I mean, increasing threat generation is never a bad thing. But I feel like all of us in Bagging Chat are waiting with bated breath for Trick to get bow and fire. Somebody hit it with an evil laugh. That's never gonna happen. That's never gonna happen, Ganji. Somebody hit it with an evil laugh.
if you have the gem slotted in.
Yes, as a ball player in PvE, I always pull aggro. Maybe that's because you're hitting the wrong target. If you hit the right target that the tank is hitting, or that the tank is taunting, or wait until the tank uses the taunting ability, right? Like, it goes hand in hand. There's no way that you are... Me as a tank, I would never lose individual aggro. First of all, the main tanks that lose aggro are the right-click tanks. The tank that use their taunting ability that has a set duration, and then they sit there with a shield, right? And they never attack, because as long as you are attacking... As long as you're attacking the enemy that your team is supposed to be fighting, you should never ever lose aggro. Plus, you have several abilities to taunt the enemy. It's just not one ability, right? Like if you're Sword and Shield, you have like Shield Rush. You can use Shield Bash. If you're using a flail, you have Crowded Bludgeon. I mean, freaking Bludgeon. If you use Warhammer, you have Shockwave. That there is AoE taunt abilities, there are single target taunt abilities. And again, as long as you're doing damage to the enemy that you're supposed to be fighting as a tank, you should never run out. You should never have a problem. But if they decide to increase that threat regenerating, it's not a bad thing. That it helps everybody.
Or anything that would generate more threat, it's just going to be a little bit more powerful. As well as we're adding taunts to melee heavy attacks. Basically, there will be a very brief window. Like you're not going to get like an 8-second taunt like you would get.
But only if you have Carnelian in it, right?
With Defender's Resolve, but brief window of taunt to just make sure that you can kind of keep that aggro going. But it'll be enough to kind of like keep it going, but not too much that you can just only rely on taunts to keep the aggro. But it'll make it just easier to kind of maintain it and properly manage it until we can get some sort of more visual update.
Also, on that note, what is it that Flail is the only weapon that has a weapon-specific PP perk, but not any other weapon? Question for AGS. I can answer that question. I can answer that question, because imagine how strong that will be for PvE, Chuma. Imagine how strong that will be for PvE. If you can have 4 Flails, and the boss's abilities, NPC abilities, have longer cooldowns on their abilities, right? Imagine if you just have a Flail with refreshing move, constantly using Smite on a boss, and keeping extending the cooldown of the boss ability. The boss will just stand there, basic attacking you for the rest of the fight, and then they will never do any mechanic whatsoever. Does that answer your question? Because you can spam Smite relatively fast if you have refreshing move on the weapon. And if you have 2 Flails with refreshing move, you can spam Smite, 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 and then the cooldown, because I don't know if you know that Smite can... Shut the fuck up! That Smite can extend the cooldown of the ability above the cooldown of the ability. For example, what do I mean by this? If you hit an enemy with... If you hit an enemy, for example, if an enemy uses an ability that has a 10-second cooldown, and you hit him with Smite, the moment that... Oh my god! I'm fucking removing it! And if you hit him with a Smite, the ability, instead of having like 10-second cooldown, is gonna go to like 13 or 14. Can we watch the fucking video?
NANI?!
God damn it. Alright, here we go. I think... Alright. Was that the last one? No? What is this shit? Freaking... Oh my god, now we have this. What kind of Kinjo Go fucking AK-47 is this bullshit? Oh my god, this one is so long that now you guys are gonna stack the evil laugh, dude. What kind of fucking Cuban Communist Republic? Shut the fuck up, Drake! I thought this was America. Yes, it is. Run! How many more we have in queue now? Oh my god, we have 1 evil laugh. We have my hums. Another evil laugh. Another evil laugh. No more muskets. No. Evil laugh. Evil like. God damn it, dude. My I'm gonna increase the price.
Bring it back. Musket? Dude, god damn it, I don't need more muskets.
It's funny again. All right, I'm just gonna increase the video volume so we don't hear the notifications.
Welcome to f***ing Eternal.
All right, here we go.
To the whole threat generation and taunt system.
Cool. So let's jump over to artifacts. You know, we're always looking at data for artifacts, and, you know, in combat in general, looking for kind of trends. And this time around, we were looking at the armor artifacts, right? Like, what did we find out there, and
Please.
what changes did we make?
Yeah. So the main for this specific one, we're addressing two of the artifacts, which are the absolute least used armor artifacts, which are the winged leather shoes and magnetic gauntlet.
Wait, hold on. What did he say? I couldn't fucking hear.
Least used armor artifacts, which are the winged leather shoes and magnetic gauntlets.
I disagree. I disagree. There are other artifacts that are used even less than that. Nobody in New World uses the freaking ghoul gauntlets. Nobody in New World uses Inferno. Nobody in New World is using the knee guards. Nobody is using the unmoved. But okay, but I'm glad that they're changing some of the artifacts. Lemao, many use Inferno. Maybe if you only know how to count to 10, then yeah, the 6 people that are using it worldwide, I guess that a lot of them are using it. And yeah, bro, a lot of people use the magnetic gauntlet for the void gauntlets. Yeah.
And basically,
they're talking about armor only, right? But which one do you think is less used, magnetic gauntlet or ghoul gauntlets? The ghoul gloves that shut the fuck up, goddammit! The ones that transfer 1 debuff from you to the enemy. Bro, nobody has even considered ever using the ghoul gauntlet.
they were somewhat relatively easily obtainable, so their obtain rate was relatively high, but their usage rate and the unlocking of all the perks on them was relatively low. So for the wing shoes, we're just adding additional functionality because it used to just be hastes last longer. But now you're going to be able to get a damage bonus whenever the hastes are active. So
oh, a damage bonus whenever the haste is active? Oh, snap! How much of a damage bonus? 10%? That's going to be crazy. That's going to be crazy for musketeers and bows.
Add a little bit more functionality to that. And then the magnetic gauntlets which were the ones that gave you
critical
increased crit chance, but your crit damage went down. Which kind of interesting play. You got to trigger those on hit or on crit effects more often. But the downside of just losing so much crit damage was a pretty high cost and trade-off. So now instead of it being a 50% crit damage reduction, it'll be 30%.
I don't think anybody will still. I think the people that are using it now will still be the same people that are using it. It's just that now Void Gauntlet, Ice Gauntlet. I mean, Ice Gauntlet doesn't benefit from like, God damn it, y'all, with the fucking life. It's just that Void Gauntlet now is gonna be doing more damage with like Orb of Decay, a little bit more, not that big of a deal.
Run, bitch, run!
Okay. let's move over to equip load. We had a lot of changes to equip load balance. And
Okay. Oh my fucking god. I hope that they talk about the freedom, chat. I hope they talk about the freedom changes to light. I really want. I really want them to talk about the freedom to light and see how that went down.
last update, and we're going to be making some revisions to that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh fuck. What happened to the light melee bomb? I don't fucking know. Oh fuck.
Welcome to
all right, we're gonna disable it for the remaining of the video, all right, chat? All right. Okay, are we all in favor? Are we all in favor? Type 1 in chat right now if we should disable them after for the remaining of the video. All right, the majority of the people agree. All right, good, good. How many we got remaining? That was the one from Vlad. Wait, hold on. We still have, bro. We still have like, oh my god, dude. Stop it! Stop it! All right, I'm doing it. Here we go. All right, they have been disabled. Need to refund all of us? I told you guys to stop a fucking 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, so one of the big ones, we got a lot of feedback on this one, so we tried to kind of make equip load
It's your own
kind of
fault.
more interesting, give the different trade-offs, and so we wanted to make medium more neutral, and then heavy and light have those trade-offs. And one thing we did, we adjusted the CC duration status.
I thought this was America. Oh fuck. All right, fair. Fresh, can you refund the okay, can you just refund the last like 10 of them? The last 10 things, just refund the last 10. All right, here we go.
Effects, which we heard the
Bro,
feedback
we only been watching 6 fucking minutes.
back. We're going to revert that change, and so it'll go back to where it was, where light has no reduction, medium has 10%, and then heavy has 20%.
Wait,
It'll
hold
go
on.
back
What did he say?
Which we heard the feedback. We're going to revert that change.
Wait,
after
what
it
change?
Kind of more interesting, give the different trade-offs, and so we wanted to make medium more neutral, and then heavy and light have those trade-offs. And
Right.
one thing we did, we adjusted the CC duration status effects, which we heard the feedback. We're going to revert that change.
Oh my god, yes, dude. Yes. Yeah, dude, yes, dude. I mean, how many fucking times we said it, dude? How many times that was the dumbest fucking change ever, dude. Fuck yeah.
And so it'll go back to where it was, where light has no reduction, medium has 10%, and then heavy has 20%. Still think long-term we want to like kind of look into more equip loads and like interesting ways of doing that, but we'll probably examine some additional ways.
Yeah.
That don't feel quite
The fact that heavy still has 20% is crazy, but hey, listen, as long as light doesn't have minus 10% is good.
punishing as a change we previously did. We also heard a lot of feedback about the heavy equip load tower shield just having a little bit too much block stability. In
Yes!
some circumstances.
Oh my god! What did you get? Oh my god! Bro, it's like they're watching my stream, dude! Holy shit, dude! We talk about all, dude. Yes! Oh my god! Dude, I love you guys. Holy shit, dude. I mean, how long have we been complaining about the tower shields being too fucking strong? Dude, I'm so glad they're listening, dude. I'm so glad they're listening to me. Holy fuck.
Chances. So we don't want to adjust actual shields on that. So we're going to just reel in the block stability percentages from 15% to 10% on both heavy and light.
Cool. So moving over to perks. So like we're always.
By the way, Josh, big fucking W's, dude. Yes, yes, and yes, dude. Amazing, amazing, amazing goddamn changes. Amazing, dude. I love it. I really love these changes. Fucking yes.
Always looking at perks and like how, you know, like how desirable they are. What did we find out? I think Shrinking in Power was one that we saw was not being used very, very often.
But you have to be very careful with Shrinking in Power because it can go from not being used to being way too fucking strong. I think that Shrinking in Power was not being used, not because the perk was not good enough, it's because there are other perks that were better on almost every situation. Right, but there's still a good perk that is used for some builds.
There's a lot of other perks we're going to keep looking at in the future, but Shirking and Power is one. Kind of examine the certain.
I think there's all the perks that are much less useful than Shirking and Power, and they should focus on those first. Like for example, the one that whenever you have no stamina gives you an empowerment. The armor breaker, it's pretty shit. Sturdy, I mean, what is it? Pin the headshot. It's good, but it's for not almost any build. You have all of the mortal perks like mortal fortification, mortal refreshment, mortal whatever. All of the fucking mortal perks should be reworked. What you can do to the mortal perks is reduce the value, right, Josh? And I hope you guys are listening. I know you guys are. For the mortal perks, what you guys need to do is reduce the value of the mortal perks, but make them work with assist. That would change a lot of the dynamic because, for example, a Fire Staff Ice Gauntlet can now use the mortal perk because they're getting a lot of assists. Healers can use the mortal perks because they get a lot of assists. And now this could be utilized, but again, you need to decrease the value. You cannot leave the value that it is. Excuse me. And yeah, that will be really cool addition. Maybe combine them in a way that they work together if you get an assist instead of, because nobody has been using those perks ever, dude, ever. And there's a couple more perks that are not in the top of my head. I could go over them. But yeah,
certain types of categories and
that sounds like a mega pre-made buff. But again, if you reduce the value, then it will be a good value, right?
Exclusive labels on perks, and under the shirking category, they all have a relatively decent usage across the various types. But shirking and power was a little bit lackluster. So especially when you're trying to compete with other things like shirking heals. So we're just buffing the empower you get from that. So it used to be 4 stacks of 4%, and it's going to be 3 stacks of 7%. So a little bit easier to get to that full.
Holy fuck. Oh, that's fucking good. Oh, that's fucking good. %7 on a dodge that he refreshes. That's fucking good. Isn't Shirking in Power only on the necklace? And it competes with stamina recovery? Let me check. Stamina recovery. Rock. Stamina recovery. Item. Amulets. Tools. What the fuck is that shit? Weapons. Armor. Amulet. Yeah, Shirking in Power and Stamina Recovery. There it is. So essentially, if you don't get hit, Shuriken and Power will be really fucking good. If you don't get hit, if you're a player that don't get hit a lot, because this is a 10-second duration, right? It's a 10-second duration, and it's gonna give you, bro, that's very good. That's good. That's really good. That is really, really good. Think about it. Holy fuck, that's very nice. That is very, very, very nice. Because as a bow player that don't have a lot of empowerments, you can use that shit. And together with a rapier, that is gonna be very fucking nice. VGIG. As a fire staff player, you can not go with harnessing. Because think about it, harnessing will give you like 10. But with that shit, you can get all the way up to 21%. It was always good. People just didn't use it because the stamina recovery shared the same parry. That's what I was saying. That's what I said. It was not that Shuriken and Power was bad. It's that the counterpart of Shuriken and Power were better in almost every situation. But there were some builds that could still use it. Why is it nice if you can have stamina recovery on it? Because I'm saying it will complement good players, right? While stamina recovery still is like a second chance, if you play, for example, with bow and you play with a rapier, you can still utilize the rapier whenever you run out of stamina because of the repose, evade flash. If you're using Ice Gauntlet, you can still entomb, right? And so it's going to be utilized for some builds that are very, very good at dodging. And they can have for rapier, by the way, any build with rapier, they should be using Shuriken Empowered 100%. How many range attacks to a bow dodge, though triggered? What?
Full value or the full max amount, and that max is going to go up by about 6.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. What did he say?
Or the full max at max %. So a little bit easier to get to that full value or the full max amount, and then that max is going to go up by about 6.
Okay.
How many range attack does a bow dodge to trigger Shuriken and Power, iframe arrows, etc.? Any attack, a fireball, you shoot a fireball to a bow, he dodges it, he get increased damage, right? He's fighting against another bow player, and the thing is that Shuriken and Power is not only range attack. Range and Power, it's any attack. So if a melee player is on your face, spamming left click, and you dodge, then you get the Empower.
Now let's move over to talk about like individual weapon balance updates. So the bow.
Yeah, evade procs it, ice block will proc it. And the thing about this empowerment is that it's on the amulet, meaning that you can swap weapons and you continue to have the empowerment. And also the good thing about this empowerment is that this empowerment gets refreshed every time you dodge an attack. So it lasts 10 seconds. And if in those 10 seconds you dodge another attack, it goes to 2 stacks and 10 seconds again. And now you only have to stack it 3 times. So essentially, if you are having a active battle versus another player, right, you will be dodging way more than once every 10 seconds. So every time that you roll in those 10 seconds and you dodge an attack, it's going to refresh to 10 seconds and it's going to give you that empowerment. So you can have a fight that lasts more than 5 seconds. You can have a 21% empowerment basically the whole fight. Pretty fucking good, if you were to ask me. Think about a flamethrower, right? Think about a fire staff flamethrower. You're flaming. It's a 3 stacks in one roll in a 1v3. I don't know if he has a global cooldown. I need to check it again. I don't know if you roll like a blunderbuss attack and it gives you 10%. I mean 3. Did he say that is it going down to 6 seconds? Let me see.
Used to be 4 stacks of 4%, and it's going to be 3 stacks of 7%. So a little bit easier to get to that full value or the full max amount, and then that max is going to go up by about 6.
Okay.
And then that max is going to go about 6. Is that what he said?
No.
Not very clear. but it might be true that he said that it goes from 10 seconds down to 6 seconds. Let me put the subtitles again.
And that max is going to go up by about.
And that max is going to go up by about 6. What the fuck does that mean? Go up 6%? Oh, right. Yeah, no, yeah, because right now it is 16% because he's 4 and 4, right? What the fuck is it? Did I just close it? Right, 20 exactly. So it's still going to be 10 seconds. So yeah, it's 4-4, so it's 16%. It is 5%, not 6, but whatever. Yeah, whatever. They're weapon balancing, chat, not mathematicians, all right?
6.
Okay. Now let's move over to talk about like individual weapon.
Trick Firestaff is underpowered? Not true. Firestaff is in the right place.
Balance updates. So the bow. Why do you
Harnessing and steel doesn't count towards that empowered cap, right? It does.
hate bow users, Josh?
Wait, hold on.
So the bow. Why do you hate bow users, Josh?
That's because I am one. No. Basically,
This guy reminds me, you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Willy.
the bow is just a really strong.
Like his mannerisms, it reminds me, he's like a shyer Willy. Bo Nerf, here we go. Oh shit! Bo Nerf, dude! Holy shit!
Powerful weapon. Has good strength where you kind of can remain safe and get some really high burst damage while being relatively far away from the normal engagement. But one thing that it kind of is really strong at right now is it has both dots, so sustained damage and burst damage from just high damage attacks and just dots being constantly put on them. So we're doing a slight nerf to 2 of the dots on it, which are the
Poison arrow, poison shot and rain of arrows are getting nerfed.
poison shot dot and the rain of arrows barbed arrow upgrade. So we're just kind of reeling in the damage on those just a little bit.
Good changes.
Don't want to basically like nerf.
Good changes. Good changes. W. That good changes. Yeah, no, we all agree. We all agree that poison shot and rain of arrows deal too much fucking damage. Those 2 dots are too strong. Good fucking changes. Good changes. For the rain of arrow, what I would have liked to see for the rain of arrows, it's leave the dots the way they were, but reduce the impact of rain of arrows. Because I think rain of arrows is good as a dot, right? But the impact of rain of arrows is it hits so fucking hard. That is one way, right? That was one way to nerf it. But this is another way. I'm okay with either. I'm okay with either of them. Funny you say that. What do you mean? Single target bow. Single target bow is for single fights, while AOE bows are for AOE for clumps and stuff like that. Hello, friend. Hello, Aroli. So how do you deal with shield users with no dots as a bow? Just run? Yeah, just run. Explosive arrow still goes through shield. Explosive stuff, it still goes to shield. Explosive arrow.
Nerf any weapon to the ground or anything. But so the poison shot, we're reducing its duration by just a couple seconds because it just has a high damage part.
Yeah.
So it's going to be the higher damage, shorter duration, and then barbed arrows is going to be a little bit lower damage.
Higher, so it's going to be higher damage, shorter duration. Wait! Is it what? What the fuck? So wait, the dot is gonna do more damage, but they're reducing the. Isn't that? But that's not fixing any. That's not. That's making it stronger. That's a buff. Because if you do more damage in less time now, it's more of a burst ability rather. That's good. That's really fucking good. I mean, we don't really know, because I'm gonna tell you why that is good. You ready? Because the longer the dot lasts, but deals the more damage, meaning the less it gets impacted by vigor. And the more the dot deals more damage and the less it lasts, meaning that the hearty meal or regenerating potion will not be able to cleanse it, and will not be able to counter. Less time for the healers to cleanse. This is, I mean, we don't know how much the damage increased, and we don't know how much the time has been reduced, right? Because let's say that if the damage was only increased by like 5%, but it was reduced to like 3-4 seconds, then it might not be that big of a deal, right? He might not be explaining it clearly. No, I mean, maybe he's explaining it the way that it's supposed to be, like the way that it's going to be, but he's not giving us actual numbers. He's not giving us actual numbers. DPS literally means, right, the DPS is bigger, but not the damage output, right? So the DPS might be higher, which is going to be stronger in a 1v1. They say the number, okay, well, hold on, let me see.
Longer duration. So barbed arrows is being reduced from 15% to 9% and then keeping its full value.
Okay, so it's going to still be like 24-second maximum duration?
Or its full duration. And then poison shot will be reduced from 10 seconds to 7 seconds.
Okay, that is really good. Because from 10 seconds to 7 seconds, that means that is 3 less tick. Barons! Back it up, back it up, back it up, back it up. So that is 3 less ticks that poison arrow is gonna be doing. And on top of that, that means that poisoning is not going to be impacting it as much, because right now the 10 seconds with the 20% from the bow skill tree goes to 12 seconds, and then if you have poisoning, you can push that to 14-15 seconds, right? So by taking it down to 7 seconds, that means that instead of being pushed to 14 seconds, now it can be pushed to like 10 seconds, which is going to be doing You mean bow? Well, no, they didn't tell us the damage increase. They just told us the amount of second that it has been reduced.
On that one, if it ends up being too high or kind of mess with the bow's playability.
Chat, baggins, Ray, there it is, baby. Yo, wildfire staff buff and bow nerf. I don't think they buffed the fire staff, did they? I haven't gotten to that point yet. Don't spoil it for me, chat. Let me get there naturally, okay? Bow getting buffed again, I see. Again, it seems that it might not be a buff. So Reign of Arrow was a flat-out nerf. Reign of Arrow was a pretty good flat-out nerf. And they didn't actually tell us how much the damage increase is going to be for the Poison Arrow. If the damage increase for the Poison Arrow is about 5% increase, then it's a nerf. Because doing 25 times 7, right? Let's go for the value right now that we have. So right now, what is the value right now? 25 times 10, right? So we're talking about a 250% value right there, right? But if they nerf it from 10 seconds to 7 seconds, and they increase the value maybe to a 5, now we're talking about 3 times 7 is 210. So that is a 40% value nerf right there. So it might be doing more damage. Now, what would not make any sense if they were to increase it, to 35, because then that is basically remaining the same way that it is right now, but more bursty, right? So 35% wouldn't make sense, but 30% will actually make a lot of sense. It will be pretty fucking good. Yo, trade alternative for Ironheart for the Venom Bunny build. If you're gonna be playing medium, then you can still rock Tumbler Feet Wrappers. All right, let me go take a piss, run an ad break, so that way nobody gets an ad in the time that I'm taking a piss. Be right back. Chat, why can't my P be neon green? All right, anyways, here we go.
We'll re-examine it, but just for now, the bow just has a lot of strengths, and so trying to address those a little bit.
And we're totally, like, all of these things are not just based on, like, our gut feeling. Like we're using our data, our analytics to kind of like validate
the data.
our assumptions,
Hell yeah, dude.
our hypotheses. In this case, with the bow, what was the like indication in the data? I'm just curious. Like, what did we see there?
We have a lot of our data. It breaks down the damage types, usage, and where the damage comes from. And bow had really high kind of burst damage from just the actual hits that they did, and then their sustained dots.
Bro, dots deal so much fucking damage with their heavy attacks, dude, and they, like heavy trip, dude, it's so much damage.
Especially with a lot of the other artifacts and perks that are coming out that increase the duration of these, and so the bow having both the kind of really high burst damage with just dot ticks that could just keep going.
Yep, very strong.
We're just kind of slightly reeling in the dot aspect of it, just because other weapons kind of handle that dot thing. Like a fire staff's a really dot heavy weapon, so don't want the bow to kind of be as powerful as the fire staff's dot.
And I've been saying this as well. I fire staff right now, dot from the bows are better than the fire staff dots.
Aspect of it, while also having the burst damage it has.
Makes sense. Cool. So moving on to the blunderbuss. What sorts of changes did we want to make there for the next update?
This one is just for the blunderbuss perk for net shot.
Oh, what the fuck are they gonna do to net shot now? You guys already nerfed it by 50%, dude. Oh, what the fuck are you guys gonna do now, dude? Oh my god.
Exhausting net shot. One thing that was just off is the tooltip showed 60%.
When it was not 60%, it's actually 50%, yeah.
But our clamping for exhaust is at 50%. So one thing, the tooltip was already misleading, and it showed 10% higher than the value actually was. But exhaust is a pretty powerful just perk or status effect. And so we're going to reel that value in just a little bit. So its max value is going to go from 50% to about 41%. Ideally, we still want the perk to be used and have some value, but...
Well, not if you fucking do it like this!
Just not quite as strong, especially with all the bursts that the blunderbuss does have.
But bro, what the fuck, dude? Bro, it's already a 4-second debuff, bro. What a rip. What the fuck? Fuck netshot? Man, anybody that is saying fuck netshot, fuck you! Fuck you! You don't... I fucking guarantee you, you don't have one piece on your fucking gear with Invigorated. You don't have a single fucking piece of Invigorated in your gear, do you? Huh? You fucking don't! You bunch of pussies! You're like, no, I'm gonna use my whatever the fuck perk I wanna use, so I don't use Invigorated, so instead I'm just gonna open my vagina and complain about every fucking thing in the game, so they nerf it and I don't have to change my fucking playstyle. Fuck you! Bunch of pussies! Invigorated dead perk? Because you guys don't want to use it! What? Fuck you, Trick, bolted in the 7 and fuck him! Jokes on you, I can just use to netshot. Invigorated doesn't suck! How can you guys say that Invigorated suck and complain about netshot? Do you see how you're contradicting your own argument? You are literally contradicting your own argument. If you say netshot is OP, you cannot put in the same sentence Invigorated sucks. That's like you complaining about sunburns and saying that you don't like freaking the white fucking cream you put. It is a single target thing. It is a single target ability. Sunscreen, yeah. That's, bro, it's crazy. You guys complain that nature is too strong, yet you guys are saying that Invigorated sucks. I like nature, but I hate Invigorated. It's crazy.
Okay.
That makes no fucking sense. Makes no sense. Oh, the stove is hot. I hate when the stove burn my fingers. Well, fucking ding dong, how about you put some gloves on? Oh no, I don't like the gloves. Same goes for the dot bolt use vigor. Well, that's a different story, Sino, because while you could use vigor for the dot, you could use vigor to counter a lot of fucking things. And what they said is they don't want the bow to have crazy single target damage and also crazy dots, because right now dots has more sustained single target damage than the fire staff, and it has more dot damage than the fire staff, right? How can a bow has more dot damage than the fire staff when the fire staff is the weapon that they want to be like a very dot oriented weapon, right? Plus the thing is that people just, oh, Jack, I'm not gonna use Invigorated just to counter net shot. First of all, if you're not gonna use Invigorated to counter net shot, then shut the fuck up about net shot. All right, literally, there is a direct counter to your problems, right? If you complain about net shot, then put Invigorated. If you don't want to put Invigorated, then fuck you, right? And Invigorated is not just to counter the net shot. Invigorated counters the net shot. It counters anti-heal. It counters the spear Ren and the spear weaken. It counters the Warhammer exhaust. It counters the hatchet puppy throw, which is anti-heal and exhaust. It counters, it's so many things get countered by Invigorated. You guys simply don't want to change your playstyle because it's easier to complain about it.
So what about the fire staff? Fire staff is...
Yeah, what all the fucking fire staff? What the fuck you gotta do on fire staff now, huh?
Actually one of my favorite weapons. And I use flare quite a bit. And I know we, at one point, reduced the damage of flare because we thought it was a little too oppressive.
Yeah, it was.
Especially in like wars and like, you know,
it was.
situations like that.
It was.
But I guess we've made some changes there. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh,
yeah,
fuck,
just a
here we
slight
go.
bump to flare. Basically, it was really strong. We nerfed it, probably over nerfed it.
No, you didn't over nerf it. No, don't buff flare. Oh my god, dude, no. Don't buff flare, dude. No, don't buff flare. What are you doing? Don't. No, don't.
4%, and it's going to be 3 stacks of 7%. And that.
Why do you hate bow use?
Don't buff flare. That is the worst thing that you can do, bro. That is literally the worst way. That is the worst fucking way. Don't buff flare. Don't buff flare. Literally, don't buff flare. Because here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna make the fire staff even more noob friendly, so a bunch of fucking turkeys are gonna be out there shooting fucking heavy attacks non-stop all day long, and then they end up nerfing Fireball, Pillar of Fire, and probably Incinerate. And then they fucking over-nerf the whole fucking weapon just because you're making it even more noob-friendly. Don't fucking buff flare, dude. Don't. Please, don't.
There's Josh. That's because I am one. Powerful. My burst damage will be in and poison shot dodge. Poison shot. We're reducing its duration by just a couple. Shorter duration, and then 15% if it ends.
Like we
have a lot of our data. It breaks down really high kind of burst damage from with a lot of the so don't want the bow to kind of the buff. One thing that was just off is the tooltip showed 60 to about 41%. Just
damage of flare, but
that makes no sense, bro. What it feels like is you guys play fire staff with flare and you guys want flare to be stronger. That makes no fucking sense, dude. I hate that they're going to increase the damage of flare. I really hate it, because if they increase the damage of the flare, then they need to compensate by something else. And I don't want the fire staff to be a left click weapon. Bad players use flare, yes. And then everybody's just going to be using fucking flare. Ball Cabo, thank you so very much for the sub, man. Thank you for the 6 months. I appreciate you. Again, if they buff flare, they will need to compensate for something else, and they are going to either end up nerfing one of the abilities, like fucking Fireball. It's not gonna be flare BB now. Nobody's gonna use BB gun flare. Why would you use that? That gameplay wouldn't compensate each other. It's gonna be ice gauntlets and just heavy attack fire staff.
I guess we've made some changes there. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, that's such a dumbass change.
Flare. Basically, it was really strong. We nerfed it. Probably off would be initially it was your heavy attacks do an AOE, but your damage got decreased, and so it went down to 110, and then we're now bumping that to 120. So just when we initially put...
It's fair. It's flare where it is, dude. It is flare where it is. You don't need to increase that 10%. That 10% damage increase to flare makes absolutely no fucking sense. Even if it was a 1% changes, no one will still use it. The people that are using it are still going to use it. The majority of the majority of the majors that are bad use flare. So now what you're doing is these bad players are going to have an extra 10% power for absolutely no reason at all. You should not compensate bad behavior of the weapon. And making the fire staff basic attacks AoE being even 10% stronger is encouraging for this toxic playstyle of a bunch of people just sitting on the ramparts and spamming heavy attacks. Trick, the guy says a fire stab is his favorite weapon. Shouldn't be surprised. But fire stab is also my favorite weapon. It's also my favorite weapon, and I don't want it. This is not the way. How about you guys focus on Incinerate? A 1 meter range ain't gonna hit anybody. 1 meter range is already a 1 meter range. It's pretty, yeah, no, you don't even need to hit the enemy now. They increase the hitbox of the bow basic attack by 0.15, and everybody started using bows. A 1 meter increase on basic attacks is it's pretty fucking big.
Flare in, it was just one of the highest or like most damage events style weapon in our data, constantly used, and so we basically got feedback that it felt too strong.
Can you even stack it 1 meter close to each other with collision? Yes, yes, you can hit 2 people with flare. Because it's not that they need to be 1 meter together. It's just a 1 meter.
So we
I don't like this change. I don't like this change. I really don't. I really don't. They should be focusing on Incinerate. They should be focusing on the abilities that are not being utilized, not just making the weapon easier to use.
Back a little bit too far, and so yeah, just kind of bumping it up, nudging it. We don't want to do any massive changes like we used to do, where we over nerf or over buff something and then we have to go back and reel it in. So we're just kind of slightly tiptoeing it up to get it.
I don't like it. And I'm using flare right now because I have a full ability build, and flare helps me get my cooldowns back. But that is the good thing about flare. You don't do damage with your basic attacks, but it compensates by giving you cooldown so you can use your abilities quicker. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense.
Feels good, or it feels useful, but it's not too oppressive.
And I know fire staff is pretty strong right now in Season 5, but that is partially due to some issues that we have, and we're looking at that.
Can you tell us what those issues are so we can understand what the issues are? That doesn't tell us anything. Just telling us that there's some issues, but you're not going to tell them what they are, then we don't fucking know what it is. Animation cancel? What fire stab animation cancel there is? Fireball and pillar of fire hitting twice. That's a lie. That is a complete lie. Fireball and pillar of fires are not hitting twice. Absolutely a goddamn lie. You can go ahead and search the entire fucking internet right now, and you will not find a single fireball or a pillar of fire hitting twice ever. I challenge you right now. I challenge you right now. You wouldn't find it. That is a lie. That is propaganda. That is a smear campaign. There is 0 fireball hitting twice, 0 pillar of fire hitting twice. Fucking search it. You won't find it.
And sometimes it's hard to get an accurate read on the balance because of these issues. And that's why it's even more important that we do try to fix these as quickly as possible, so we can kind of have a
double pillar fireball is 100% false.
Better idea of like what's a real balance issue and what's just a bug that we need to fix. Cool. So moving on to flail, what changes did we make for that?
One thing we're changing on the flail is one of the big feedbacks we get.
I mean, obviously there is a fire step bug, or they wouldn't not have said that. But what is it? We don't know what it is. It could be a value of an ability. It could be that the PvP value is not correctly affected. We don't know. They didn't tell. It's definitely not double hitting. It's definitely not double fucking hitting. I think they don't say until fixed to not exploit it. That makes sense. Hammer time, thank you for the sub. 17 months, amazing.
From it is just the overall flail DPS is relatively low, which
flail has some crazy ass DPS. Have you guys ever gotten left clicked by a flail? That shit fucking shreds. Flail has a surprisingly high DPS for being a support focused weapon. Flail deals an incredible high DPS.
Was intentional just because it has so much extra utility. Flail is a very versatile weapon.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, there's so much survivability and there's healing with it. So it's kind of intentional to kind of have it have low DPS, but maybe it's just a little bit too low. So one thing we're doing to kind of work on these little tiptoe balance changes is the leader of the pack passive, which is the one that has kind of a dual purpose. So it initially...
Leader of the pack is the one that whenever you're by yourself, right? Whenever one or more allies are within 5 meters, you gain in power, increasing their damage by 5%. When no allies are within 5 meters, the flail attack deals 10% more base damage. The thing is, the weapon is designed to be a supporting weapon. It's not designed to have any sort of high or mediocre DPS. If anything, I wouldn't be upset if they nerf the damage of the flail DPS by 5 to 10%. I would have been, that makes a lot of sense. Buffing the DPS of a weapon that is already such an incredible supporting weapon makes no fucking sense.
Actually would do small damage increase if you're by yourself, and then it would give empower to your allies when you were around other allies. And so we're just bumping those numbers up a little bit. So your self damage when you're alone is going to go up from 10% to 15%, and then the empower, that one's going to go up from 5% to 10%. So a slight buff there.
Yeah,
and then
slight
we're
buff.
just keep kind of re-examining.
Not necessary. Not needed whatsoever. This is not a balance right there, by the way. That is just a flat out buff. That is not a balance. That is just a flat out unnecessary buff. Not a balance, flat out unnecessary buff. You know what would have been a balance? Nerf those values whenever you're by yourself, like 3% or 5%, and that would have been good. And whenever you're with your allies, increase the damage of your allies maybe by 3%. That would have made sense.
The damage. Overall, the flail's utility is kind of, I think, the most important part of it.
And it is so incredibly strong. The flail is fine the way it is, to be fair. If anything, it has too much damage.
So we don't want to end up making the DPS so high that we have to nerf some of the other utility aspects.
How does that make fucking sense, bro? Oh my God, dude. You don't want to make the DPS of the flail too high, so you don't have to nerf the utility, yet you buff the damage. How the fuck is this? It's contradictory. It's contradictory. This whole sentence right here makes no sense. We don't want to make the DPS so high, then why even increase it? To begin with, it is a utility weapon, not a DPS weapon. You are putting yourself in a place where you in the future need to now make a decision. Either nerf it or reduce the utility, and then you will be breaking the identity of the weapon. Fuck.
Of it. So we're going to just keep looking into it and see what we can adjust.
Cool. So let's talk about Hatchet. So there was some changes to Keen Berserk, I see, on that.
Yeah, that one. So Berserk is just a really useful ability, and then we have some fixes coming in the future. Not sure.
Flail has such a high DPS, chat. Such a high DPS. It's unbelievable the amount of DPS Flail has. Unnecessarily high, bro. It is so good that in my honest opinion, it should have been nerfed, not buffed. Medium flail, light flail just do so much fucking damage. Prove it? I don't need to prove it. Tranquility can prove it for you. I don't get that. I've never experienced that. You have never experienced that? You're probably a heavy player or something like that. Because a live flail sword and shield can take you from 100 to like 50% with one flail combo. And the light attacks of flails are one of the fastest light attack in the game. Is boom, 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 and it hits so fucking hard.
Exactly what release they'll be a part of, but we are fixing some issues with Berserk stuns and like Hatchet aim throw aspects of it, where like the canceling got weird. But for Berserk, for it being such a useful kind of core foundation of the weapon, the perk usage was pretty non-existent.
Right.
And most of that was due to the 50% health cutoff, because you don't want to like let yourself get too low health so that you can finally use a perk. So we removed the health condition on it, so it works.
How's it tracking on it though? Maybe that's what it is. The thing is that the flail has CC, it has slows, right? The trip, it's pretty fucking strong. Its might has a very good range.
Any point, and then we adjusted the values and lowered them a little bit, and then adjusted the functionality. So now it's just your overall crit chance and crit damage is going up when you're using Berserk, if you have that.
How much?
And then you don't have to worry about the health requirement, and the values are going to be a little bit more in control right now. The max will be around 20-ish%.
So 20% increased damage and crit damage and crit strike, and no health. That's pretty fucking good. Holy fuck! A Berserk flail is going to fucking shred. Holy shit, that's big. 20% crit chance, 20% crit damage. That's gonna be nasty. But in my opinion, it's a good change. While it's a strong change, I just want to see more melee hatchets. Because right now, almost every hatchet is a long range hatchet. Because hatchet long range has been buffed so many fucking times that melee hatchets has become pretty much irrelevant. And the only people that are using Berserk are using it mostly for the utility of it, right? For getting out of stun, for just running away, getting out of a CC. I disagree. Melee hatchet slaps. I'm not saying it doesn't, but long range hatchet is better. Hatchet homing his ass. I mean, have you seen the size of Hatchet? It's like this fucking big. What do you think? What do you think? It has the homing of a fucking spear. And by the way, whenever you get what is it? The rush ability, that shit has crazy ass tracking.
So the musket, we did a lot of rework to the
Oh
musket
fuck!
in
Here we
Season
go.
3, and I know, changing it from hit scan to projectiles. But there were some leftover things that may have like come with it, with that transition, like aiming being one of those. Can you talk about some of our changes around the musket and trying to make it more usable?
Yeah. So the musket is a kind of a hard weapon to balance, mainly just because it's like that kind of difficult to learn. But once you master it, like players get absurd with the musket. Like I'll never be as good as most of players with the musket just because they're way better than me. But the thing we're trying to balance with it is kind of give it more usability without making it too strong or too oppressive in wars, not wars, OPR. We were all there in the OPRs where it was just the musket just kind of ruined most people's experiences, but we also don't want to make the weapon miserable to use for the people.
Then leave it the fucking way it is. If you don't want musket to be stronger than what it is, then how about you just leave it the way it is? Because musket right now is pretty fucking good. It is on the perfect fucking spot. Wait for it. Oh my fucking god. Don't tell me they're buffing musket, dude. Chat, don't fucking tell me they buffing musket, dude. Don't fucking tell me they buffing musket, dude. Don't fucking tell me they buffing musket, dude. Oh my fucking god, dude.
That want to use it. So we are going to remove the accuracy penalty for when you're rotating the camera. That's one of the big usability things, where if you're aiming at it, as long as you're accounting for the travel time and the bullet drop, you don't have to worry about that inaccuracy.
Okay, that's not too big of a deal.
That's definitely going to be one of the bigger changes. We're also doing some kind of...
But still, that makes it that if a target is running and you're tracking with them, the bullet will go there. It's better for aiming, meaning that you won't be able to zigzag the muskets. You won't be able to zigzag the musket because they say that they're removing the bloom whenever you are moving the aim of the musket, meaning that it's going to be easier for the muskets to connect.
Usability updates with some of the functionalities like stopping power. Kind of a pretty fun one to use, but yeah, just maybe we wanted to buff it. We redid one of the perks recently for it, and so what the perk did was it added additional pushback, and so we did rework the perk just because it wasn't that desirable in its previous state.
Okay, what is it going to be the normal state now?
And so we're just adding the additional pushback to the base functionality of it. So that'll be, I think right now it's 3 meters. It'll go up to 5, and then the ultimate on the left tree, I think it was called Deadeye. That one we are going to add a little bit more usability to it. Right now you have to get 2 headshots to proc it, which is pretty heavy condition.
It is pretty heavy condition.
2 headshots in a single shot. So now it'll trigger just off hitting 2 targets, which will kind of...
Oh, what the fuck? That's gonna be huge. Okay, so for those of you that don't know what he's talking about, if multiple targets are hit when you get a headshot, the next shot within 3 seconds inflict a bleed to all targets that shot passes through. So basically, if you shoot into a clump, the next shot will be a 15% damage, a 15% bleed on the enemies. That is mostly for clumps. So this is mostly a buff for the clumps. I mean, that is fine.
Kind of make it more functionally usable for more players.
Yeah.
Kind of lower that barrier to entry a little bit. And then the
Trapper?
right tree ultimate, where there was a condition where it only applied to the
Trapper?
right tree abilities, and that's just now going to apply to any of the musket abilities.
Oh, what the fuck? That one is gonna apply to all muskets? No fucking way! Increase the musket damage by 20%. So that means that people are going to be getting lethal combo with powder burn. People are going to get lethal combo with powder burn, so whenever they hit you with a powder burn, all of their fucking damage is increased by 20%? Bro, what the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck, dude? A 20% more damage against people affected by a powder burn? You already have a standard musket shot deal 12 additional damage on a target that is burning. So if you hit an enemy with a fucking powder burn, you're going to be doing an extra 32% increased fucking damage? Get the fuck out of here! No, chat, oh, dude, oh my god, dude. So what would the bill be? A stopping power, hustle, tactical reload, kick them when they're down. Oh, also another 10% over here because the powder burn is gonna slow them down. So you're gonna have powder burn dealing, and then after you hit it with a powder burn, it's 12% plus 10% plus 20%. 42% damage increase for literally just landing powder burn, bro. What in the actual fuck? Hitting a target with an active debuff grants in power because why the fuck not? Walking or strafing, whatever. Let's pick this one. Here we go. And we can still, and we still have 6 more points to put it whatever we want. Why are they increasing the damage of the musket by this fucking much? Not only they're making the musket easier to hit, right? Not only they're making the musket easier to hit, but they're increasing the damage by 20%. Oh my fucking god, dude. That makes zero fucking sense. Zero fucking sense. The only reason some people were playing with like traps and grenade was because of lethal combo was making it rewarding. But if you're now making lethal combo works with also powder burn, then why would anybody ever play with traps and grenade? Everybody's just gonna play with power shot, powder burn, and stopping power. This makes zero fucking sense. What is this bullshit, dude? That is such an incredible fucking buff. Holy fuck, dude. Holy fuck. That is too much.
Great.
Great.
Right.
Yeah. Great.
So what about the rapier? What changes do we have in store for that?
Yeah, rapier, the good weapon, really useful to use in the many different situations. But one feedback we got looking through our Discord and just player feedback is weirdly one of the most kind of powerful abilities, but was one of the least used perks for it. It was a deadly flourish.
That
perk.
makes sense. Yeah.
Right now it just does a damage boost, which kind of a high percentage. It does like 40% damage. Functional usage of that
not
that
as strong.
So one thing we're adding to it is that part will still be there, but now it's going to also apply the Rapier Bleed with that perk, and that'll just help trigger the finish aspect of it a little bit easier, let you get bleed stacked a little bit easier, and just give a little bit more value to that perk.
Cool.
Wait, what? So, Flourish deals 41% more damage against targets below 50%. And what is it that they're doing?
Right now it just does a damage boost, which kind of a high percentage. It does like 40% damage. Functional usage of that is not that strong. So one thing we're adding to it is that part will still be there, but now it's going to also apply the Rapier Bleed with that.
Holy fuck! So that means that every flourish and finish, regardless if the enemy is bleeding or not, is going to proc him with one bleed? Holy fuck! Holy fuck! With one button, you are giving it an extra 3 to 4,000 damage? Bro, what the fuck? They literally just gave the ability an extra 3,000 damage. Essentially what they did was, so the ability was doing this much damage, now it's gonna do 3,000 more damage. They literally just increased the damage of the ability by 3,000, bro. Because if you do a flourish and finish now, it's gonna add that extra bleed, which is always gonna proc. Holy fuck. Trig, if the bleed stacks only hits on below 50% health. Steal, bro. That means that now if you're below 50% health and you get hit by one flourish and finish, the thing is that flourish and finish is going to be doing more damage than execute whenever the target is below 50%. It's only a Tondo stacks that trigger the finish and move. No, it's Tondo, Flurry, and now flourish and finish. He said he's going to give a Rapier Bleed. There's only one Rapier Bleed. You apply it with Tondo, you apply it with Flurry, or now you can apply it also with flourish and finish. They need to make sure that they add the bleed stack on the second hit, not the first hit. That will fix the problem, yes. If it is only on the second hit. No, it's not on the second hit, it's on the first hit. Because the first hit is flourish, and the second hit is finish. So on flourish, deals 41% more damage against target below 50% health, and you would apply one bleed. Meaning that is going to be on the flourish, so the finish is going to remove that bleed and deal an extra 3,000 damage. What the hell is the point of the bleed being after finish? But then what the fuck is the point of giving it just 3,000 flat out damage? This ability is already so incredibly fucking strong. Making it incredibly stronger makes no fucking sense. This ability is already so fucking good. $150%. 150% just for free. So essentially, flourish and finish is going to be 60% plus 270%. That is more than execute. What they need to do is reduce the damage of Bloody In. That is way too fucking much. Finish build about to be. But the thing is that every rapier in New World uses finish. If you are not using flourish and finish as a rapier, it's kind of like a super niche, weird fucking build. Healers use flourish and finish. Fire staff use flourish and finish. Bow players use flourish and finish. Musket use. Dude, this is such a strong ability. Such a strong ability. It gives you 20 stamina, right? It is so good. It is a stagger. Holy fuck, dude, that's gonna be crazy. Yeah, healers don't use flourish and finish. Healers don't use flourish and finish. What are you talking about? Healers don't use flourish and finish, bro. Healers 100 fucking % use flourish and finish. Repos, many healers use flourish and finish. Repos, evade, flash. Yeah, that's one type of healers. All the healers use flourish and finish. Why? Because if you have an enemy on top of you, you can use flourish to stagger them to get 20 fucking stamina back and then finish the other way and get a super long fucking dash. They only did what evade was disable, but they still do. It's really fucking good.
That perk, and that'll just help trigger the finish aspect of it a little bit easier, let you get bleed stacked a little bit easier, and just give a little bit more value to that perk.
Lol, cool. Nah, healers flourish and finish trolling. Healer flourish and finish trolling. Isn't flurry and finish... Okay, whatever.
And what about the spear? I see we got quite a few changes coming in for that as well.
Yeah. Some people may be a little upset with this. They're going to be a decent amount of nerfs on this one. Hopefully not enough to make it feel miserable. I love the spear. It's a fun weapon to use, but some of the kind of utility it had, because it had really high DPS and just a ton of utility.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so one that we're going to change is for the evasive maneuvers passive.
I've been calling it. I've been calling it, dude. If you're going to nerf spear, you need to nerf evasive maneuver. If you're going to nerf spear, you need to nerf invigorating crits.
Right now, that applies to all dodges for 2 seconds. And
make it a regenerating. Instead of all the dodges, just make it like a passive regenerating fucking stamina or something. Like you hit the enemy and I don't know, fucking 10-15% stamina regen.
We're gonna make it the next dodge with 2 seconds. I think that's still enough to make it feel useful.
Wait, what are they doing with it?
Maneuvers passive. Right now, that applies to all dodges for 2 seconds, and we're gonna make it the next dodge with 2 seconds.
Oh, so just one dodge? Bro, that's still fucking strong, dude. But it's okay. It's much better than...
I think that's still enough to make it feel useful, have some really good value, just not be like too strong.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. It's still OP, but it's less OP.
And then that combined with the invigorating
crits, another one. Yeah, again, yeah, instead of... This one is the one that I was thinking about. Instead of this one giving you a flat out stamina, just make a stamina regen or something.
That right now is you just get flat stamina on a crit, which is incredibly
5 stamina on a crit. No, bro, you get 20 stamina on a crit.
Powerful because it can apply to like Cyclone and just every other hit. So instead of it just giving you flat damage, it's going to give you...
Bro, what are you even talking about?
Increased stamina regen for a brief period of time whenever you get a crit.
He confused the shit out of me. I don't even know. What is he talking about? 5 damage, 5 stamina. What is going on here? It's 20 stamina on crit. He didn't say 5. What did he say?
Like Cyclone is you just get flat stamina on a crit.
Oh, flat stamina is what he said. He said flat stamina.
which is incredibly powerful because it can apply to like Cyclone and just every other hit. So instead of it just giving you flat damage, it's
Instead of giving you flat stamina.
going to give you increased stamina regen.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Yeah, that's amazing. Yes, it's whoever did the subtitles for this video, fire them. So he didn't say 5, he said flat. So instead of giving you 20 flat stamina, it's gonna give you, what did he say?
For a brief period of time whenever you get a crit.
There you go. Increase your stamina regeneration for a amazing change. Yes. He didn't mean to say flat damage. He meant to say flat stamina, not flat damage. All right. He initially said flat stamina, and the person that did the CC put 5, and then he misspoke, and instead of saying stamina, he said damage. That's amazing changes. Amazing. Amazing changes. Pre-watch? No, bro, it's not pre-watch. I just been saying this thing for a long time now. And if they're watching, then they are listening. I'm glad. Although I didn't say anything shit about fucking musket, and I didn't say anything about flare, so I don't know why the fuck. Who are you guys listening to? Only listen to me. Only listen the ball to me.
So hopefully enough to keep its value, kind of maintain its purpose, but not become that thing where you never have to worry about
yeah, you never have to worry about stamina as a spear user. Is fucking crazy. What did they do to musket? They just gave it 20% damage. And now it's easier to aim with it. It's because no one is playing musket? No, this guy said no one is playing musket. This guy literally said no one is playing musket. You're crazy if you say that no one is playing musket, bro. If you're saying that musket is not being played, eat a goddamn 2x4 dick.
And then the fortifying perforate perk.
There's literally an entire company made out of fucking musket.
Perforate does a lot. It's a good ability. It does have damage, and then
has damage. He has weaken. He has rain. He has fortification. Musket Union and buff. I don't agree with the musket buff. It's too fucking strong. 20% damage increase to muskets and making it easier to hit. Just might as well make it. Like one shot, one kill. Just make it a Call of Duty fucking sniper, dude. Literally, just make it a Call of Duty sniper. Azad, thank you so very much. And Algorithmica, thank you so very much for the subs. I appreciate you guys.
Many status effects. So one we're going to initially look at is the fortifying perforate, just reducing its value. Hopefully enough to make it useful, but not oppressive or not too powerful.
Okay.
That's kind of our main goal. Is we want most things to have a purpose and have a value, but just not.
I mean, well, the fortifying perforate is nice and all. Yeah, I'm okay with the fortifying perforate because fortifying perforate was mostly for medium and heavy spear users, not as much for light users. I would probably say that the weaken is also too strong. 10% weaken per hit on a 30% weaken on a 30% rain, I think is way too fucking much. It's way too much. Probably the weaken nerf it to 7%. So instead of being 30%, whenever you hit the 3 hits, it's just 21% weaken. And because you already have skewer, a skewer being almost 50%, combined with the 21% of weaken, you put it like a 70% weaken, which is the cap. It doesn't even need weaken at all. It doesn't even need weaken at all, Zeb. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. It doesn't even need a fucking weaken. But if you're going to have the weaken there, I would say the weaken needs to be tuned down.
Make it necessary or too strong compared to other choices.
What other choices?
Okay, cool. And so you talked a little bit about this for the bow, kind of like what we were seeing in the data with the spear. I know I'm pretty sure we're like it was at the top of the list in most modes, right? For,
Yeah,
like,
it's
usage
the best weapon
so
in the
what was
game.
was that like what was the findings there from the data that led us to these changes?
I'm interested in
Yeah,
what the data shown.
Kind of main ones are data focused. In most modes, the spear was kind of like either in the most used or most damage events triggered. Even weirdly, sometimes most damage done. And then that combined with just all these extra effects it had, which granted spear, I think its main purpose is DPS, so we don't want to just directly go after that.
If the main purpose of the DPS of the spear is DPS, then nerf the utility event. It's that fucking simple. If the main purpose of the spear is DPS, then nerf the utility. You nerf the mobility, big fucking W's. Big W's, but it still is the most utility strong weapon, has the biggest weakens in the game, and he has very good one of the strongest ren in the game. It has the strongest weaken and one of the best rents in the entire game.
So they're kind of looking into adjusting the utility aspects of it.
Okay, that's fine.
Again, still one of my favorite weapons. I don't want to kind of ruin it, but just need to make sure it stays kind of parallel with most of the other weapons.
Cool. And that brings us to the sword and shield. This one, these changes might be a little controversial because,
shit!
I'm sure everyone knows, the sword and shield is very strong and very well
Rounded?
used. But we're actually suggesting some buffs here. Can you tell?
That's it. I'm becoming an alcoholic. That's it. I'm becoming an alcoholic.
Tell me about the reasoning.
Yeah, tell me about the goddamn fucking reasoning.
Yeah, so like you said, really controversial. Sword and shield is a very versatile weapon in terms of its functionality, but for the most part, if you're going to be playing a PvP mode with a weapon, you're going to just see 3 abilities used every single time. And so we want to kind of buff the other things to kind of give you a little bit more choices and kind of mix up what's being used. So,
okay, continue.
Defender's Resolve is going to get a little bit of a buff.
What are you talking about? You on the fucking order? You crazy? You motherfucker! The heavy side. What the bang and the PPP? What the fuck? Defender's Resolve.
So we're improving the taunt that it has, kind of changing how quickly it activates. So the status effect that's applied when you activate Defender's Resolve is going to be activated a little bit sooner. The cooldown we're reducing a little bit, not too much, because that survivability you get from it's going to be strong, but trying to hope that we can kind of keep its value.
How much? Just tell me how fucking much. I don't. What is a little bit?
Going and give it a little bit more purpose outside of the 3 abilities that most people use, which are the Shield Bash, Shield Rush, and Leaping Strike. We're also increasing the final upgrade to Defender's Resolve. The healing there right now, it's max health, and we're going to change it to base health. So instead of it being 15% max, it'll be 30% base.
I'm okay with that. How much is 30% of 7,000? That's only gonna be like 2,500, right? That's only gonna be like 2,500. Base HP is 7,000, like 7,500. As opposed as 15% of 20,000. How much is that? What is 15% of 20,000? 2.1? 3,000? How much HP you have with 300 Constitution? How much HP you have with 300 Con? 20K plus, right. How much? 24,000 with 300. Okay, what is 15% of 24,000? I had to disable the channel points. Chat was going crazy. 3,600. Okay, so it was a healing nerf. It was a healing nerf, but the cooldown has been reduced. I don't know how much the cooldown has been reduced, but the healing was nerfed. Okay.
And kind of open up the amount of equip loads and different.
By the way, no light player is ever going to use it still. The Defender's Resolve will never be used by a light player.
Builds that upgrade will be useful with. And then Whirling Blade, we're doing a change there. Whirling Blade's a hard one just because it does kind of compete with the final attack in the light attack chain. So we're increasing the radius to just make it, if you're in a crowd, you'll most likely hit more targets with Whirling Blade.
What the fuck? They increasing the range of Whirling Blade. That's nice. Holy fuck. Whirling Blade is going to be easier to hit now? They increasing the range of Whirling Blade? What the fuck?
And then maybe down the road, we'll look at this kind of how to improve Whirling Blade's value a little bit more.
No, you don't. You don't. You don't increase the value of Whirling Blade. Whirling Blade's already very fucking good.
And I noticed there's a missing ability from
Reverse
this
Stab?
list, which is Reverse Stab.
Oh, shit. I knew that we were going to talk about Reverse Stab. Because if they want all their abilities to be useful, they need to talk about Reverse Stab.
So
Yes.
what are we planning for that one?
That was intentionally left out because in our next upcoming balance patches, we're not going to do anything with Reverse Stab. But down the road a little bit, we're actually going to just rework it entirely.
Make it an execute, where you stab them in the heart and you one-shot them.
We'll probably keep a lot of the similar like upgrade functionality and stuff, but just a better animation, make it easier to hit, and excited to see how you guys respond
never
to it
mind.
once you can finally see what it'll turn into.
Yeah, we think that was one of the main reasons why it was a lesser used ability, right? Was because of the long wind up and it didn't.
I'm gonna tell you guys why Reverse Stab it's not used as much. And it's because the other 3 abilities are so fucking good. Are perfect. Shield Rush, Shield Bash, and Leaping Strike are simply just perfect. And the only way people will drop those 3 abilities, it is if you make the other abilities just so fucking strong that are incredibly powerful.
Seem very usable in a lot of different PvP scenarios.
Yeah. Even just thematically, the looks of it, you're like, I'm going to turn around and point my back towards the target. And even though it didn't really, like, you couldn't get backstab from using reverse stab, but yeah, it just didn't really fit well. Though, yeah, it just wasn't.
I would use reverse stab if it was easier to land. Okay, which ability will you be taking away? Are you going to take away Leaping Strike? Dropping Shield Rush whenever you're using Whirling Blade? Shield Rush into Whirling Blade is one of the sweetest combos there is. You guys gonna get rid of Rush? Oh, that's just gonna be rough, dude. I will say if you're gonna get rid of one, probably just get rid of Bash. I'll get rid of Bash. Yeah, you will get rid of Bash. You wouldn't get rid of Rush. Leaping Strike and Rush, so good, so good. I think we need to remove the musket PvP penalty. Somebody time him out. Somebody time this man out. We're gonna time this guy for 10 minutes. All right, let's see what else it has to say.
That appealing of an ability, even though Feng Shi had some pretty good upgrades. And
so all you reverse stab lovers, get your usages in now while you still can.
Yeah, all 3 of you.
Yeah. Okay, and then the last weapon that we wanted to talk about for this update is the Warhammer.
Oh, Warhammer. Okay.
What changes were made there?
Yeah, Warhammer. That's a good kind of a similar to the Sword and Shield, where for the most part people use the same abilities. So trying to buff the other ones that kind of make them more value. Kind of its one that's happening a lot is Mighty Gavel. We're just increasing its damage from 170 to 190.
Oh, nice.
And then the upgrade to check for your target's health, that's going to be bumped from 130 to 150 to just give it more damage.
Fuck. Mighty Gavel is going to be real mighty. God damn. That's a big damage increase right there. Holy fuck. Ooh. How was it? Not going there. Yes. Okay. Yes. Love you.
For your target's health, that's going to be bumped from 130 to 150 to just give it more damage. Warhammer right now, it's really useful and really strong with CC. So if you can stagger stun them, it's fantastic. But then its normal abilities don't quite have that similar.
No, the thing is it going to be doing more damage than Armor Breaker? Because Mighty Gavel, all right, let's do some math. All right, let's do some math. We have Mighty Gavel. So 170 to 190. So that is a 20% increase in damage. This one is 160, but it has a 35% Ren built into it. And, you know, on top of that, it applies a 30% Ren. It has grid. And then the last one is going to go from... Oh, wait, what is it that they talk about? What was the other increase? Just use both. Hammer is not used outside of war, though. No, it is used. OPR and Assassin Hammers are really good. He's talking about the first perk. Increase the Mighty Gavel damage by 20% to targets below 30%. That one? Let me see exactly what he said again.
Damage from 170 to 190. And then the upgrade to check for your target's health, that's going to be bumped from 130 to 150 to just...
The target's health that is going to be bumped from 130 to 150. So he means... What? Oh, the health requirement is going to go from 30% to 50%? The second one? Is this one, right? Summary judgments. So the health requirement is gonna go from 30 to 50. So whenever they're below 50%, they're gonna take 20% more damage. And on top of that, the ability got buffed by 20% damage. Okay. So what is the combo right here, right meow? So we're gonna hit him with a shield bash. Fuck. Shock, Gabble, and Armor Breaker. I'd rather have cleared out. Than shock. So we hit him with a shield bash. We hit him with a cleared out. Armor breaker. The thing is, fuck, this is gonna be hard. How about spear? Let's see, how about spear? With scorpion, right? You sock him in. You hit him with an armor breaker. Vol kick or leg sweep into a... Oh, I want to see this. Armor breaker, wrecking ball, gabble. Can you do gabble after wrecking ball? No, I think you can. You cannot do shockwave after ball. But I'm sure you can do Gavel because Gavel animation is actually really fucking fast. Yeah, I think you 100% can. You know what makes no sense to me, Chad? And it's a little bit weird for anybody that is paying attention to the video. At the beginning of the video, they said that there's too much damage in the game. Yet, they increased the damage of Fire Staff. They increased the damage of Musket. They increase the damage of Warhammer. Okay. Alright. So they increased the damage of all of these weapons. Yet at the beginning of the video they said that there was too much damage in the game.
Give it more damage. Warhammer right now, it's really useful and really strong with CC. So if you can stagger stun them, it's fantastic. But then its normal abilities don't quite have that similar value. So just bumping up damage on that ability, kind of give it a little bit more purpose.
Great, and I also wanted to kind of recognize that you know, we covered a lot of weapons here, but there are some that we didn't cover. Do you want to talk about just like the reasoning why some of these weren't touched in this update?
Great Axe, that
Great
one
Axe.
in Season 5, as you all saw the artifact, probably one of the most fun artifacts I've used so far.
Great sword.
The Tempest Fury, that is going to give a lot more value to Whirlwind. And then we also buffed the base Whirlwind functionality a little bit when you don't have the artifact, because you want to spin to win, but then if you have the artifact, you get all the cool spins.
Oh, never mind. We know that already.
It still felt pretty lackluster. So we buffed that, and we want to kind of see how that, just the overall weapon changes play out just for that one. Like once we change that one ability, because that'll change up how you can chase, potentially how much damage you do, how you get away from fights. Yeah, so we're gonna see how that one plays out. Wood Gauntlet's another one. That one is one that's called out a lot and currently in live because there's some like desync issues, some bugs that are being called out that we're trying to address. So we're just kind of spending time working on the bug functionality aspect of it, and then Life Taker was one where we have a bug fix coming in for that, where it was just doing more damage. And so, yeah, kind of like fixing some bugs and issues that were called out related to that before we just start like diving into the balance, especially since we also did buff its base damage in a previous update.
Actually, let me interrupt you. Yeah, because I forgot to mention this. Yeah, Void. So the Life Taker artifact, that was something we had to respond to right away once we became aware of the issue, because it was actually it was doing an invalid damage type, and it was like going around all of our systems, basically, like negating, shield blocking, and all sorts of terrible things. So we had to actually turn it off temporarily, but it will be turned back on for the 4.16.
Oh, tomorrow.
Another one, Life Staff. We didn't talk about this. Life Staff's kind of a hard one to balance because depending on the mode and the situation, it's like simultaneously overpowered and underpowered, depending on when and where and who's using it.
You know how you can balance Life Staff easier? If you add another fucking healing weapon to the game. If you guys were to add a second healing weapon to the game, because whenever you only have one healing weapon, you cannot have it too weak and you cannot have it too strong. And it's so fucking hard to not do that. Because it's the only one.
And so we've talked about this in a previous video, but we do want to kind of update the trees. We just have to make sure we get the design good, we get it balanced really in a really interesting way. And so we didn't
Flail, Void Gauntlet, bro, those are not healing weapons. Get the fuck out of here.
Do any balance updates so we could in the future look into kind of reworking the trees. And then Ice Gauntlet was a final weapon that we haven't talked about. Actually, well, Ice Gauntlet and Greatsword, but Ice Gauntlet, there's a bug that we're looking into now about the cooldown reduction. Entomb is triggering multiple instances of it.
At the beginning and the end, yeah.
Fix that, and then we did some other balance updates with it recently. But yeah, just gonna keep doing some examining because Ice Gauntlet's one of those weapons that has a lot of utility. Damage is kind of lackluster because of that usability, and we just want to kind of keep examining it before we keep making any changes. And then Greatsword, final one. Greatsword's really strong, really useful weapon. Arguably overpowered in certain situations, but we're kind of looking into that more. We know the artifact for the Greatsword Serenity is kind of in that state where it feels like it's kind of the must-use. You probably should be using that artifact. But yeah, trying to examine what we can do to make the kind of give a little bit more diversity to like what item or which version of the Greatsword you're going to be using. And so yeah, just looking into that. But it is just overall Greatsword's like a pretty strong weapon, pretty useful, and still just examining it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was a lot to cover, and definitely a lot to look forward to coming up in the May update. And that brings us to our community question. So what we'd like to know is actually of those weapons that we didn't cover in this upcoming update, what would you most like to see with those weapons? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and please let us know in the comments what you thought about the show.
All right.
See you in Eternum.